Shalom, this is Mike Burston, and I am very happy to be on Israel National Radio, Arutz Sheva. Please keep listening.
Okay, Eve Harrow back for the second half of the show. Going to get in touch in a couple of minutes with Shlomo Taub of Legacy, whom we want to talk to. And so what I'm going to do in the meantime, while I get a hold of him, is put on a song. Okay, Eve, and this time I am back. Shlomo Taub, you with me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. My mistake. I gave the technician the wrong telephone number. Happens.
Nothing wrong.
My brain is still too full of matzah. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show today, especially the day before the day that we commemorate the Holocaust. Although through your work, I think that you are pretty much still living the ramifications of the Holocaust. So, how about if you tell the listeners what it is that you do through your company called Legacy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Legacy is an organization which claims property in Eastern Europe, mainly in Poland. We must remember that before the Second World War, Poland was a country. Why Poland? We must remember that Poland was a country of 3.5 million Jews. Unfortunately, only 300,000 left. The 3.5 million. This is shocking, but I know that everybody knows these numbers. But as shocking as it is, property wasn't erased. Life was erased. Property was not. My point is to call for awareness, and we are doing it on and on, every few weeks, every few months, all over the world, wherever we reach, awareness. Those 300,000 people who survived, they have rights to claim what was never erased, what was never destroyed. It is there, being used. We say, go take it. If you cannot take it, sue for it, claim. Otherwise, everything is erased and lost, because time is of an essence. That's the main point of this program, I think.
Now, it is clear, Shlomo, that you're very passionate about what you do. How did you get into this? Because this is a private concern. You weren't hired by the government or by anybody to go after property of Jews who were killed and property that belongs to their heirs. This involved you as well, I hear?
Definitely. I must say very strongly that there are many organizations that put their hand in and are dealing or dealt with such a success or another success with the issue of restitution, poverty claims, etc. There is a Sochnut HaYehudit, there is a Congress, there is a Bnei Brit, joint, there's like 10 or 20 organizations all over the world.
Right.
Unfortunately, the number of $40 billion of assets and properties and businesses and land still exist in Poland, not touched Jewish property. Unfortunately, according to a report that was done by the Israeli government not very long ago in 2005, the overall number is 150 billion US dollars in numbers of 1997's value.
So it's property that belongs to Jews, but
Jewish
is not
property, private Jewish plus a community property. Community property is only 5% of the total. So you can just imagine what is the total of the private.
Well, I would think it's obvious why the Polish government isn't going to cooperate here. No? To a certain degree?
Definitely.
Speaking about those kinds of figures?
Well, the Polish government, that's a different episode. I would like to לפזר את הענן, את האבק, to
blow away some of the smoke.
Right.
Clear away some of the smoke, right.
The Polish government, it's a very, very special, they act very specially. There's actually a cynical game being played over there. Unfortunately, as I told you before, in Poland, almost every year there's a new government. Almost every prime minister comes up with a beautiful invitation, with a very kind invitation to Jewish organizations from all over the world. And only last month or 2 months ago it happened. Again, with the new Mr. Tusk, which is a new, Donald Tusk is a new prime minister in Poland since November 2007. He invited also from Israel representatives, and he said, I made it clear that the compensation will be given. But he also said something else. I made it very clear, and I'm reading to you from a U.S. paper, from Washington newspaper of last month. I made it clear that the compensation will be limited to a minimum percentage of the value of the property, and that the payment will be spread over a long period. And this is what I want to tell to people who come to us on a daily basis and ask, hey, Shlomo, we hear that there is in Poland, which is a massive Jewry, is from there, they are giving something. There is light in the end of the tunnel.
10
there is no light. There is
a
long, cynical game. Because this long period that the Polish people are going to play with, within the law, within the constitution law which they are talking about, and to whoever doesn't know, the Polish government, the same, has offered a constitution to constitute a law for restitution of 10 to 15% of the value. What is the cynical game? They don't say value of what. The value can be of a value of today, real
1930.
1930, or some estimation. So we already know, according to Mr. Tusk's declaration, that it's going to be the lowest. We already know that it's going to be very long, and we already know that whoever will stand in line will have to prove that he's entitled. Meaning that out of the number of Holocaust survivors that are entitled to stand in line, many will just end their life during standing in line.
Right.
Because how old can they be?
Right.
They can be in their 90s.
And their children it's too much trouble. They're involved with their own lives.
Too much trouble. Second generation will never be as strong and passionate and understanding and with data, just like the old generation.
So how do you help people? What do? You have offices in different parts of Eastern Europe? You have lawyers?
Actually, before answering this question, I'd like to answer a previous question that you asked me.
Okay.
How did I get to it?
Right.
I was born in Poland after the war, and my family stayed in Poland. They decided to establish their life as Holocaust survivors in Krakow, and they owned property there. And we were always told, we came to Israel in 1951, we always were told that there is property that we owned and nobody can and should go and touch it because nobody should step on Polish soil. Years after, many years after, which means about 10 years ago, I've decided that I would like to see what my parents spoke about. What is it? And I saw beautiful residential homes in the middle of Krakow, in the Jewish area, in Kazimierz, and one in Podgórz, which is right near the Wisla River, beautiful scenery from the windows, standing buildings in a good condition, and Polish people living there. And I didn't even know if they know that there was once a Jewish owner.
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go to find out, and authorities, how are they manage these properties, and I was told that there is an administration that cares or take care of these buildings on behalf of Jews that are not here anymore.
Absentee owners, as it were? Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And my parents were still registered as owners.
Are your parents still alive?
No.
So you didn't do this until after they had passed away?
Right. I did it after they passed away.
Right.
And luckily, they were registered, and more than that, it was very easy. It was a piece of cake to go to prove that I'm the heir, because I'm their son.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I conducted the inheritance procedure with a legal office that I've met. And I made some market research for law offices that will be willing to deal with such a procedure, and I found a few law offices that were willing to collaborate with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me 2 years to be invited to stand in front of a judge in Krakow and to be awarded of 2 beautiful residential homes and as owners.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I did it for myself, many people came to me and asked me, "Hey, Shlomo, how did you do it? You know, maybe you can find our property in Lodz or in Miechov or in Novi Sącz," and I've done it.
And such legacy was born.
That's how legacy was born. With one office in Krakow. Now we have also an office in Warsaw, and we spread it to Prague. We deal with Czech Republic, with Romania, and slightly also with Germany. Even though in Germany it's bad news, because I would say that the timeline has closed its gates long ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
so
what we do.
I'm going to repeat it at the end, but I also want to say it now. How would someone get in touch with you if one of our listeners is saying, "Oh, this might apply to me. Maybe you can help"? How would you have a website? Mm-hmm. Maybe give it now.
Yeah. First, I'd like to give our website, which is www.polishlegacy.org.
Okay.
Secondly, anybody that knows information about where his parents or grandparents are coming from, he should really put down on a paper what is the exact address, who were the owners, draw down a family tree, know where you came from, and know who might have been the owner. Mm-hmm. Then you'll be able to start even the procedure to verify if you have any chance to become an owner. Mm-hmm. Because property in 60 years may have gone through different stages.
Right.
Okay, but in any case, finding out if there is such a chance, it's always worthwhile. And I must say that out of every 10 properties that we make our analysis, between 2 to 3 properties are going back to ownership of Jewish clients.
Really?
Yeah.
What do most people do? Do they sell them then?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do? They don't want to be connected anymore.
Nobody wants to hold it, because to manage a property that you own in abroad, in a country like Poland, is playing with the unknown, and it's not a good business to hold it over there. You want to sell it immediately, even for less money, but you want out. But get it first.
Right.
Don't lose the momentum. And it's, I would say, we call it Chalon Izdomnuyot, an opportunity window.
Window of opportunity. Right.
Also due to the fact that on a daily basis, there are less potential claimants. Every day there are less potential claimants due to few factors. One of them is that the old people, unfortunately, are going to another world, and the second generation, as you said, is less interested. Mm-hmm. Second, Polish and just as other countries are erasing old buildings. Old buildings in good conditions may be erased also, because they want to put a bank over there in the area, they want to change it to a town hall, etc. So
you lose the building.
Definitely.
Or you could make a claim on the land, or that would be very difficult.
It would be more difficult.
More difficult. Mm-hmm.
Especially if it is nationalized. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do. We find if it is nationalized, we find if it exists, what is the value. According to the value, we decide if there is any business prospect for the client to go for it. But not doing nothing is just a waste. It's just a waste not doing nothing.
I mean, excuse me if this next question is foolish or naive, but why didn't what took for you to come almost 60 years later to get this done? You know, we hear a lot about Germany paid reparations to survivors or to the state of Israel many, many years ago. But there's so much out there, and you're probably just dealing with a part of it, with Poland. There's more out there. Why does it have to be you? Why a private initiative? Where were the more formal bodies to be able to take care of it? I don't even know if you have an answer to this.
There's no answer to this.
There's no answer.
This is actually like asking why a criminal is committing a crime. As I said, there are so many organizations that were nominated to deal with this issue, and the result is one big flunk, one big zero. They don't do nothing. They collect files which collect dust, and I'm familiar with those companies, and the clients are coming back to me with the dusty folder that was lying for 10, 15 years with nothing moving. Just nothing moving. The fact is that the claim has to be done against the law over there, or in a certain way that you don't antagonize the law in order to make a client an heir. I became an heir in 2 years. I mean, what's the big deal? My father was the owner. I'm a son. That's it. Property can be mine immediately. Can you imagine out of the 280, 300,000 people that survived it, they will start to do it on the beginning of 2001, let's say 1999, or when the communism fell. Okay, so people could have gone to Poland and start to move on it, but nothing was moved on the national base, on the national level. Whoever is dealing with the issue today is Machleket HaGimlaim, which is Rafi Eitan with
the pensioners.
Right, with the pensioners. This is not a business for pensionerim. It's not a business for people who are going to be in a position for a short period of time. Just like in Poland, every year a new government is coming and the next one is starting from the beginning. It's a business for people to start, to take it on a business basis and to finish with it case by case. It's a hard nut. It's not easy. Don't kill yourself that it's easy.
Right.
But if it is not done on a purely business basis in Poland, in Czechoslovakia, and in Romania, and in other countries, nothing moves.
Well, you had the advantage, as it were, of a death certificate, of being able to prove that you were your father's son, your parents' child, and that this was their property. But there may be many situations where, as we know, there were a lot of people were killed. There's no death certificate. There's no proof. So our papers were lost. Is there any hope then for anybody with their claims?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned before that the percentage, we have to relate to the percentage. If on each case 2 to 3 properties are going back, that's really a good score. 8 or 7, unfortunately, will fall in this basket of no merit certificate, no proof, or among those people will be people that do not deserve to be owners. I have people come to me and ask me for property, and when I claim in Krakow, for example, and when I ask them what is your connection to the owner, after they drew to me the family tree, I didn't see their name on, and they say there is no connection. Why should there be a connection? So I say, okay, forget it. It was a very nice discussion, good coffee, that's it.
Right.
It must be a pure connection between the claimant and the previous owner. So in those countries that we operate, it is fairly easy in many cases to detect documentation. I found in Poland documentation that people are looking for many, many years. And in those countries, if you come and you go to the right authorities, sometimes as a tourist when you go there, they may tell you it doesn't exist. Don't you know that there's no more Jews in town? You know, that's what I've heard also. Officers told Jewish tourism. But when we go there, we don't go as Shlomo Tau. A lawyer will go over, or a geodesist, or somebody from a local. You must do it by local people. The local professional will go in and he will talk to the Polish officer in his own language.
Right.
So it will be completely different. and especially if you will smear him with a little,
the local language.
Definitely,
right.
you talk to girl in the language. In Romania, it is even worse. When you not in the official, I mean in the bureaucratic offices like governmental offices, the smearing starts with the lawyers. If you go to a lawyer and you want a birth certificate, you may have to pay a few $100 for it, but you will get it at the end of the day because it's very easy. So, okay, it's expensive. But if we evaluate the property that it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, so we will tell the customers what is going to be the average cost in the beginning in order to go step by step. Because you really have to go step by step in order to find yourself in the end of the way a winner.
It just brings to mind the biblical, have you murdered from Achav, right? הרצחת וגם ירשת. They killed the Jews and they also took their property. And
this is the name of the game. הרצחת וגם ירשת, and we will not give it to happen.
Well, it's terrible to to even think of the Holocaust in economic terms. The fact is that there was money that was stolen in addition to people being killed. And there are many survivors or their children who are also desperate for money now. And we hear about this all the time. Documentaries about survivors who are in very, very bad shape. Their hard-working years were spent in concentration camps, and they've gone through a very difficult time ever since and need medications now and simply don't have the money to pay for it.
That's right. Only recently, we have a small episode. Recently, we sent an old customer of ours to Poland, to Częstochowa, to stand in front of court. Okay, so not too many heard about this little town, Częstochowa, which is not so little, but in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, comparing to Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, it's little, but in Poland, it's okay. He went, he stood in court, and the judge asked this old man, which is in his late 80s, if he can provide him the certificate of his father. And when we said that the father was killed in Auschwitz, so the judge said, law is a law, and that's what we have to provide. So we don't give up in these cases as well, and we start a procedure of a death certificate, and the guy will own, in the end of the day, big mansion over there. It's a big building. So it was very easy to say there's no death certificate. Why should he do something? I mean, the trip to Poland costs money. He is going to get a property which is far above the $1 million worth. And we do hope that he will reach to this moment to step on this one because he is an old man. But he has children, he has grandchildren.
There's also a moral issue here that they shouldn't get away with it.
That's right. So the main point, what we want to say is awareness, and awareness.
And quickly, because time is running
out. Not to give up, because time is playing a major role.
Thank you. Shlomo Taub, PolishLegacy.org. If any of you listening feel in any way you can help you, write him a letter. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
This is Eve Harrow, Judy and Eve. We're going out for our last news break. Don't go away.
Moving Up, an Aliyah journal by Laura Ben David. Enjoy the exciting memoirs of one family's move to Israel with humor, photos, and personal experiences.
I felt that we were doing this great thing, Aliyah, or moving to Israel. I thought that we have an opportunity. I figured, I could write down this information and share it and let them feel what it's like, maybe inspire them a bit.
To order the book, visit aliyahbook.com. That's ALIYAH book.com.
Okay, hello everybody. Eve Harrow for the last few minutes of the show today, April 30th, 2008. My next guest, my last guest for today, is a very special person. I met him because his daughter is one of my very dearest friends and has been for almost since the beginning, from when I first moved to Israel. And we have shared many joys together. And her parents are both survivors. And so her father, Siggy Weiser, agreed to come on the show today because I think it's just, we think very often, we think about the Holocaust and we think about 6 million, but I think it's important to hear sometimes just the one voice because the number is just so overwhelming that it's hard to grasp. And so, Siggy, you with me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show today. I know it's not easy for you, and I really appreciate you giving my listeners a chance to hear your story and hear how now you live in Israel, surrounded with daughters and sons-in-law and grandchildren. But the beginning was different. Where were you born?
I was born in Romania. Actually, I was born the town I was born in is named Tashnat. It's in near Satmar.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 3 years old, we moved to Satmar.
Okay, so Satmar is famous for a Hasidic sect.
As a matter of fact, I was part of it that time because I grew up with them. I grew up in an atmosphere very anti-Zionist, and I didn't even know what Zionism is.
Really?
So the only thing is everything with the Zionist Machshamom, it was...
So the Jews who wanted to live in Israel
till I was 15 years old or 16 years old. At that time, we were sent to Auschwitz.
Mm-hmm.
My family, and I was first in Birkenau. In Birkenau was Auschwitz, and then I was transferred to Auschwitz III.
Mm-hmm.
Auschwitz III. That was the labor camp of Auschwitz, which was about 5 or 6 kilometers away from Auschwitz.
Mm-hmm.
And over there we were working, doing all kinds of very hard work, hard labor.
Mm-hmm.
In Ivrit, you say it's avodas haperach.
Right, very impossible, hard labor, slave labor.
Till January 18th. I mean, I'm not going to. I don't think I'll have time enough to say any particular things because I understand the time is short. But in January 18, 1945, the Russians came closer to Auschwitz, and they evacuated our camp. In our camp was about 10,000 Jews. And I remember that Thursday, January the 18th, we start marching out. It was bitter cold. It was snowing, and we marched all night long, and people were falling to the left and the right. Right, and we arrived about 12 o'clock as well. Actually, not at 12 o'clock in the morning. So it was early in the morning already. To a place that we rested. It was a barn, and I find my place somewhere in straw that I was able to rest.
How old were you then?
I was 16 years old.
Were you with any family at that point?
No, at that time my family was. I arrived at Auschwitz. I skipped that part. That when we got off of the wagons, and but this is a very important episode. It came to me a person. He was in the stripe. At that time, I didn't know who is in the stripe. He talks to me Yiddish. It asked me, "Wie bist du? How old are you?" Says, I just turned 16. No, you're not 16. You're 18. So he gave me a shove. What do you mean I'm 18? I'm 16. So he points me to the chimneys. He says, "You see, if you're 18, in about 2-3 hours, you'll be free. You're going to the chimneys." I didn't know what I was talking about. I was talking, this guy's crazy. This guy's nuts. Anyway, and then when I was in the line, I was told later it was a Mengele. He asked me how old
selection.
I am. How old I am. Up till I don't remember if I ever opened my mouth something. Because then he told me I should do 18, and I'm 16. I wasn't prepared to say a lie. You know, okay. So he pointed me to go this way. It's the right, and then we marched to about a few hundred yards to a big place, and we stripped us of everything naked except the belt and my shoes. And that's what it happens to be on Shabbos in the afternoon. I mean, in the evening. It was about 6-7 o'clock. It was Erev Shavuot that time. So there were several hundred Jews, and we were shaved the head. Every hair on our bodies was shaved. And then we were staying outside, and then we were driven into a room. There's a big shower. As a matter of fact, while we entered one end, the other end I saw figures leaving.
Right.
And I didn't. It was, for me, it was very strange. They was a little far, and it was not the end. They happened to the women that just came out from also in the naked. For me, it was so strange, this whole thing. Anyway, so I'll make it short. So after a while, we took the shower, and then they smeared us with sort of thing against
lice or something.
And we got the striped uniforms. And then we start marching out. Then we smelled very much some smell of. So they said, there's a chimney at the crematorium. Still, they didn't believe it. They didn't believe it.
Were you with anyone that you knew?
No, I don't know. I wasn't with nobody.
Your family wasn't with you?
My family went. My mother, I didn't know what happened. I know my sister and my mother later on, I know they were in Birkenau till about September, October, and there was a selection by Mengele, and they were sent to the gas chambers. And my brother and my grandfather and my whole family over there, they went to the left side of it. It's usually, within 2-3 hours they were all gone. So as I told you before, and then we after a few days we was transferred to Buna. It's called Buna Munowitz, Auschwitz III, that labor camp, and we worked there till 18th.
January.
January the 18th. And we start marching out, and we march from one place to another place, and then we heard that wagons were going to come. So the train, we were very happy because outside it was very bitter cold. And I want to say something. As we were marching for miles and miles and miles, we saw to both sides of the road dead bodies, mostly women, that were just before us. In Auschwitz, there was about in Birkenau, in Auschwitz, there was about 20,000 to 30,000 Jews, and they also were evacuated. And they were they were falling left and right in the cold, bitter, and they were whoever stayed behind was shot right away. So I'm telling you, it's thousands of bodies from both sides of the road that went before us over there. So then the trains came, and then we were happen, but this was open trains, it was sort of a cattle trains. And we were pushed in about 150 Häftling. We were called Häftling, prisoners. And to sit in that, maybe there was room for 25, 30 or something, but we were 150. It was terrible. We were told right away we shouldn't stick out our head. Once we stick our head, we'll be shot. As a matter of fact, whoever get up, it was shot right away because the SS were all over with us. And so I just will tell you shortly that we were traveling about 8 days, and bitter cold, rain and snow, and our clothing was frozen. Frozen on us. And we happened to pass by Czechoslovakia also They throw us in bread sometimes. And one bread, a few people got killed because everybody was
fighting for the bread.
Grabbing for the bread. And I was meek. I didn't. In other words, they had no food whatsoever. I ate snow. It looks like snow has sort of a quality, something. But I mean, that's what kept me. All right, and we arrived to Buchwald. I arrived to Buchwald. This was a Friday afternoon, Friday evening. We were arrived. We were 150 in that cattle car, and I would say maybe 20 or 25 people.
Survived from the 150.
What was it? Somebody was sick. Somebody died already. We threw him over. We threw him out. I mean, I was very meek, and I was young. I didn't know, but this is the way it was. Somebody who was dead or even close to death, they threw him out over the other side. All right, we like the Buchwald. In Buchwald, we went through the showers, and we got uniforms, and we were both so happy we got somebody. But over there, it was much worse.
Buchenwald was worse than Auschwitz.
Buchenwald was worse than the labor camp. In the labor camp, you worked, and they gave us some food. In the Buchenwald, I understand that Buchenwald was built for about 50 to 20,000 or less people. They brought from all over Poland, from all over the evacuees, and they were now it was told 100,000. So the barracks was usually big barracks for horses, but they make pitches over there. So and it was terrible. If this is food, as far as food is concerned. In the evening, we got they called it a block, a coin, sort of a coin. With this coin, you stand in line, you're going to get soup in the morning. And I just want to tell you what happened, was if somebody started at 8 o'clock in the morning, you could maybe get there at 12 o'clock because the line was going, I would say, even miles to get it. And unfortunately, many times I got there, by the time I got there, either there was no more food left, or, for instance, I remember the number of times that I hold they called it a shala, a bowl,
right,
and they put it in soup. And somehow, for one reason, I didn't move fast enough. The couple give me he has a big ladle, big ladle. He give me, hit me on my head on that ladle, and I dropped the soup, and goodbye. For 24 hours, there's no food. I'm not for me, not for everybody, because they couldn't handle this, so many people. So it just so happened somehow it was Purim night. I call it Nessim Purim.
Miracle of
Purim. Yes, Miracle Purim. They called my number, 122 700. That was my Buchwald number. In Auschwitz, I have a different number, tattooed on my hand. But this was just on my clothing. So I didn't know whether they should respond or not, because we knew one thing: if you were being called something like that in Auschwitz, for instance, we know. They would take you to gas chambers, something like that. I mean, but anyway, I had no choice. And then they called other numbers. They asked me how old I am. I said I'm 60 years old. And they picked out some youth, some maybe 25, even more. I don't know exactly what it is. And where are we going? We're going. Okay, we started interpretation. You maybe going to the gas chamber.
Right.
But what so happened? They took us to Block 66. That's called the Kleine Lager, the small camp in Buchenwald, and that was a youth block. Youth block. And we cut it over there. We had already a regular bunk with covers, and they gave us, and we got food. It was something.
Why did they take you there?
I don't know why. I have no idea. In that block, they were about, let me see, it's approximately about 12 to 8 to 1,400 kids, so-called youth block.
Right.
Amongst them was, with me, was Elie Wiesel.
In this youth block.
In that youth block. So, and we were there, and then I'm skipping because I can tell you this for hours and hours.
Yes.
8 days before the liberation, that was on Achar Shel Pesach over there. By the way, we were there for Pesach. Of course, no
matzah,
no bread.
Well, you didn't have bread.
One thing we had a lot, maror.
Oh yes, bitterness.
Right. So we had matzahs we didn't have. So they announced sämtliche jüdische Häftlinge antreten. That means all the Jewish prisoners to assemble at the parade ground. I call it. It's called a Appellplatz, in German, where they used to line up in counters. So I would say that on the playground, we knew right away what was that. That was, because before we were very happy. We heard the Americans are just 17 kilometers in air force.
To liberate.
We become happy. By tomorrow morning we could be liberated.
Right.
But we knew what's happened because they told us none of you are going to be free, because just before that you will
they'll kill you before they're liberated.
And it says even one of you are going to liberate it, nobody would believe you what happened. They remember. I remember this specifically. And it says nobody will believe you. If you tell the story, nobody will believe you. So, in come the block outside, the head of the block, the leader of the block, he happened to be a Czech. He was a Czech communist. He was a very nice man, very nice man. So he says nobody leaves from here. And then I was told later that he went to the office of the records in Buchwald and told the assessment in charge of them, listen, you know very well that the Americans are coming close by.
Yeah.
And to know what's expected you. If you let me go into the record room for a few hours, I will vouch for you that you will good, that you'll be all right. In other words, you'll be free. In other words, you'll not be punished. So, in what happened, he went to the records. He changed all our records. I was a Roman Catholic.
So that you wouldn't be killed as Jews.
Wouldn't be. You don't have to go to the Appellplatz because they were evacuated. Most of them, about 85,000 Jews. We were about 100,000 Jews in there. 85,000 Jews were taken out within 8 days before the liberation, and 99% never survived. Survived, and it was only left in Buchwald about 20,000, 15,000 non-Jews, because there was a lot of non-Jews there, political prisoners, all kind of prisoners. Only about 5,000 Jews were left. That's about the liberation, okay?
Right.
So anyway, so he says nobody. So we survived. But a day before, that was Tuesday. We were liberated on the Wednesday and Tuesday afternoon. The camp has to be evacuated. Everybody has to go out. So we went to the gate, and I was very sick. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a typhus or whatever it is. And I was standing. I lay down on the floor and just say that. So in come an assessment and kicks me with so somebody says, "It is tot. I'm dead." I said to myself, "I'm dead." I didn't believe I'm dead. I'm dead. So, and the assessment took out his revolver and wanted to make sure that I'm dead. I was told, you see, I heard something clicking, but I didn't know. Kept my eyes. I didn't move because I'm dead. I was told later on with some friends that he took out, and all of a sudden, the silence went off. It was indicating that the enemy is coming close, or whatever it is, either the enemy or
somebody
air raid. And once that happened, everybody started running. So wait a minute, I forgot to tell you. And he called. You see, there was going around. People took a few guys with push cars picking up the dead all the time. So he called the man to pick me up. I'm dead.
Right.
And suddenly, as the silence went off, everybody ran. I also got up and ran. And it was very funny. Those guys ran up to me. Hey, where are you going?
You're supposed to be dead.
I mean, sometimes you start laughing. You know, many times, stories that happened within the camp that was we left on our Taurus, that's what you're saying, as you said.
The Taurus?
Anyway, I ran back to my camp in the morning. That was Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I saw already something. I looked to the window, but I was very sick. Must have had high fever or something. I looked to the window, and I saw Häftlinge running with big, sort of thing, and they opened up.
And you were liberated.
They had weapons, and they called Waffen. Everybody coming at you with weapons. So I find out later that was a sort of a revolt.
And you survived.
So and then later on, a day later, we saw the Americans come. They came in.
Thank you, Ziggy Weiser.
All right.
Thank you for sharing your story.
That's because all right.
Thank you.
All right. I wanted to tell you more about
another time next year. Next year. Eve Harrow. Thank you, everybody.
To tell you more about
another time next year. Next year. Eve Harrow. Thank you, everybody.